Now, if you're playing the movie on a telephone, you will never in a trillion years experience the film. You'll think you have experienced it, but you'll be cheated. It's such a sadness that you think you've seen a film on your fucking telephone. Get real.
Welcome to A Cast with No Name. We're your hosts. I'm Jay.
And I'm Matt.
This is episode 30. This episode will discuss House of the Dragon, episodes 8, 9, and 10. But first, don't forget to visit our website, acastwithnoname.com, where you can comment on episodes and write to our emails with any requests, comments, criticisms, or bashings.
We welcome it all.
Yes, all that good stuff. So, House of the Dragon, we left off on episode 7, and episode 8 started with another time jump, I believe.
It did.
It did.
Yep, 6 years from the previous one.
So, thoughts? Or,
Yeah,
what
were your impressions overall with the whole series?
I liked it. I like the time jumps. I hope they continue them throughout the next season. And I'm guessing it's probably just going to lead up to the Game of Thrones storyline.
Oh, you think so?
Set it up for that, possibly.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know if they completed the whole book. I doubt they did. But, I mean, I think they said, 5 or 6 seasons of this, or maybe
around
4
there.
Seasons that they were doing for this. But
Around there.
I imagine there would be considerable time jumps, especially with Daemon and Rhaenyra's sons growing up. But I don't know. I could be wrong. Again, I haven't read the book, so
I haven't either.
The one listener who has read the book is probably just shouting now, like, you dumb fucks. That's not what's going to happen. So.
Yeah.
But overall, I enjoyed it. I think, I mean, the acting is just really well done.
I agree. It is.
Paddy Considine is.
I think he's the best one.
Yeah, I have a feeling he'll probably get an Emmy.
He should.
This.
He should.
But yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it. So,
yeah.
What were your thoughts of the season as a whole?
I give it a solid B minus.
Okay.
When comparing it with Game of Thrones, it was definitely entertaining. I liked, like you said, the acting was great. I thought the story was good. The production design was amazing. The sound, it definitely felt like a Game of Thrones show, which I appreciated. I enjoyed it overall. I thought it was good. Mm-hmm. Definitely better than season 8 from Game of Thrones. I liked it more than that. I liked it, I think, a little bit more than season 7 of Game of Thrones. But yeah, when comparing it to the first 4 or 5 seasons, it's definitely a tier below that in terms of storytelling, but it was good.
Yeah.
I liked it.
So with episode 8, it was 6 years later, and they're discussing the secession of Driftmark, and Rhaenyra attempts to strike a bargain with Rhaenys.
Right.
Rhaenys. So
it's gonna be one of those episodes.
Yes, it is. It's always one of those episodes. So they had that into question because Lord was it Corlys?
Yep.
Was injured.
Injured, yeah.
And they don't know if he's going to survive or not. So now they're trying to put their pieces in place.
Yeah, the Stepstone seems to be very unstable. Mm-hmm. That they don't have any background on it or what's going on.
Yeah,
it's just a thing.
It's been going on for
happening.
like 20 years.
Right.
And
it's like the Iraq War.
Yeah, it just keeps going and going.
You're like, what
Eventually, they'll just pull out with no rhyme or
no
reason.
plan. Yeah.
Yep.
But you're right. Yep. So he's injured. So they're wondering obviously when someone's injured, who's leading the vultures come out and you have to figure out who's going to succeed them.
Yep. Get your plan in place.
Mm-hmm.
We have Ewan Mitchell, who plays Prince Aemond. That was his first episode.
Oh, Vaemond, you mean?
Vaemond?
Vaemond.
Vaemond?
Yeah, Aemond is...
Aemond, yeah, Targaryen.
Oh, okay. Vaemond is Lord Corlys's brother.
Yeah, no, I would not.
Aemond is, the son of
Yeah, so, yeah.
Alicent and...
Vaemond shows up for the first time, but yeah, Ewan Mitchell plays Prince Aemond. His first time in that role.
Yeah. What'd you think of him?
I thought he looked fucking 40.
He looks old.
He looks older than his older brother.
Yeah. He's got one of those faces, though. There's like devious faces.
Yeah, the gaunt, skinny, angular.
His like smile goes up to his cheek.
It's like a Cheshire smile almost. It's just like he's always like smirking.
It's very narrow. And it just goes up a little farther than any normal person's would.
Yeah.
I liked him though.
Yeah, I mean, I thought
it's a good character.
Yeah, I feel like he nailed that character immediately.
I liked him more than the younger version of Aemond.
Yeah. Yep, I agree. So his first time, Vaemond, first time seeing him.
Yeah. But sorry to interrupt you again, but you're right. 6 years, and then you go from that kid to this actor. A little bit of a stretch. Yeah. It's definitely older.
And then some other, obviously you have the returning characters of Viserys, Alicent, and Rhaenyra, and Daemon.
I don't think there was any other actors changes other than the little kids.
Yeah. And Viserys' health is failing.
Of course.
Even more.
Looks like a White Walker in this episode.
Yep. Yeah, he does. But yeah, I guess the biggest thing, and I've been bitching about this the whole season, is because they don't have enough consonants and different names.
Yeah.
And that's finally come to be a very valid concern as far as why you can name people just a little bit, just different.
Slightly differently?
Yeah. Like, I named him Aegon. We have one. Yeah, we have, there's now 2 princes.
Yeah.
With the name of Aegon.
He's Aegon the Second, yeah.
Yeah. And then you have one of Daemon's and Rhaenyra's son. One is named Viserys, and the other one is named Aegon. And then you have that, which is named after their grandfather or great-grandfather.
Aegon the First, yeah.
Aegon the Conqueror or whatever. And, and it's now...
it's tough.
It's now a thing that is a reason why you should name different names for your offspring, because if you're on your deathbed and you think you're talking to your daughter, but you're actually talking to your wife and you just blurt out a name, then maybe she'll know who the hell you're talking about.
There might be some misinterpretation going on there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you.
But
yeah, that's what happens at the end of that episode.
Yeah. So it's it's all a mistake.
It is. It's all a mistake. It's all happenstance. I do like that episode too because it goes back to just, shocking actions that happen when Daemon basically splits Vaemon's head in two.
Yeah.
Like horizontally through his mouth.
Very clean cut though. I mean, he left the tongue.
He left the tongue out.
Just the tongue out, just easily grabbed.
Yes.
So that way.
Oh man. That scene was great though. I enjoyed that a lot.
Yeah. I liked it to where it was immediate too.
Yeah.
Where Daemon knew it was going to be happening, and then as soon as Viserys,
he was relishing in it. He was like, "Please say it."
Yep. He loves to kill.
Yes, he does. Yeah, but Paddy Considine's performance in that episode was pretty awesome. Mm-hmm. Pretty good.
Yep. Yeah, and when they were having the dinner party,
again.
Yeah.
Nothing good ever happens at a dinner party.
Nope.
It never does.
But I figured that he was going to be passing fairly soon because when he was kind of smiling and looking at everybody somewhat getting along, then he's like, now I can go.
Now I can die. Yeah.
And then everything just hit the fan.
Turn to shit.
That. Yep.
What did he say? What did Aemon say? Your strong sons or whatever?
Oh, yeah. He's like, you're strong you're strong princes.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Just kept throwing the word strong out there. He's like, I was just merely giving a compliment.
Yeah. I see what you did there.
Yep. So overall, are you team green or are you team black?
I'm it's a coin toss. That's one fault of this show. if I had to give it a criticism, was I'm not really on either side right now.
Mm-hmm.
Where in Game of Thrones, you know who you're rooting for.
Yeah.
You're rooting for the Starks. You're rooting against the Lannisters. I mean, it's pretty cut and dry. This, I don't know. I'm not really either way. I mean, I could care less about who's in the right or who's in the wrong.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
I would agree to an extent. I feel like Game of Thrones. I feel differently about Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones, I feel like you could choose who you were rooting for.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, there was characters more evil than others.
Mm-hmm.
The House of the Dragon, I feel like they're trying to get everybody rooting for
Rhaenyra.
Mm-hmm. and Team Black, and trying to get everyone to go against Green.
Yeah.
I feel like they're overtly trying to make that a thing,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm hesitant as far as being like, yeah, Team Black, because I feel like they're going to pull the rug out from under you for something, or like something's even more horrible is going to happen that'll put Rhaenyra and her group
Right.
in the wrong.
So I still haven't figured Daemon out. I don't understand what his motivations are anymore.
Yeah, and
It's very confusing.
I know there's several deleted scenes that I think George R.R. Martin has stated that have been left out of the season. They may include them in the Blu-ray release
Okay.
of Daemon, deleted scenes of Daemon being a caring person and being a good person.
Okay.
But obviously they purposely left those out. I don't know if it's just because to make him seem like a stronger character, or more, not more one-dimensional, but more, not determined or stronger, I guess, but more focused as far as being that character, and to where maybe they put in those scenes of him being caring, and it just kind of made him feel wishy-washy as
Okay.
far as, I mean, I don't know. I mean, they left him out for a reason. It could be that. It could be that they want you to think that, oh, he's heartless, but then maybe they plan on paying it off later at like next season or a
Right.
later season, to where you're like, oh, he's really a good guy or something like that.
Yeah.
They'll do like the Snape thing, to where they do flashbacks or something showing of like who he actually was, as
Gotcha.
a person that no one really else saw.
He'll look in the pensieve and
Yep.
he'll start to shed a tear for him.
After he gets bitten by a huge snake, he'll
Yeah.
ask Carrie to take his tears and look
Yeah.
in the pensieve.
Yeah. Rhaenyra, you have your father's eyes.
Yeah.
Well, I think I don't know, because he's just a great character in terms of his motivation. I don't know what he goes from defending Rhaenyra, which I think he just did because he wanted to kill Daemon. I don't think he particularly liked Daemon all that much.
Mm-hmm.
And then you think that he's a loving, caring husband and has Rhaenyra's back to the end, and then the last episode he like chokes her out because she won't go to war.
Yeah.
And like to the point where there was like malice behind it.
Mm-hmm.
So is it he just wants to? He just wants a war. He just wants to fight people.
Maybe. I mean, but it depends on what his motivation is. I mean,
Is it to
is
keep
he
his family's
afraid?
honor?
Yeah. Is he afraid that his niece is going to ruin their house, and they're going to lose their family over
okay.
it? I mean, if that's what he's more concerned about, or losing their family's power.
When you say his niece, you mean his wife too?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
See, it gets confusing.
Incestus is the bestest.
That's right. It's just confusing all the way around.
But and I use the word niece because, I mean, she is considerably younger
Mm-hmm.
than him, to where in his mind he's probably thinking, no, we need to do this now. We need to play this out. To where she immediately knew where Daemon was going to be heading, and that's why she told Jace, her oldest, that nothing happens without her order.
Mm-hmm.
But she's also getting her pieces in place first to figure out what the next step would be, as opposed to just blindly going into war and then possibly doing more damage than good. Because if she doesn't have the backing, I don't think she is the kind of person to go to war if she doesn't think it's a winnable situation.
Yeah.
And I think with I plan to create a blockade from King's Landing, cut off their supplies, and going about it smartly to where you could do as little of collateral damage as possible, then that would be obviously in her best interest as a ruler, but obviously based on what Viserys said as far as the dream with the White Walkers and the threat from the north coming down to where it needs to be a unified kingdom to be able to survive that. I think she's thinking, okay, the less damage, because she doesn't know when it's happening, to where she's thinking the less damage we do, the better.
Yeah.
Because if we destroy ourselves and we're in the process of rebuilding and then this threat comes, then we're just going to be just
We're going to die
fucked.
anyway.
Yeah.
It's the same. She even made a comment she didn't want to be Queen of the Ashes. I think in episode 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they were talking about we have 9 dragons, they have 3. Let's just go in there. Balls to the wall. No big deal. It's the same issue that Daenerys had, or was Daenerys was grappling with in Game of Thrones. Yeah. So what did you think of episode 9? I mean, we're going back to, as little collateral damage as possible, and Rhaenys just kind of pops out of the dragon pit, kills like 10,000 people, and could have ended it right there by just killing everybody.
Yeah, just blowing them away. That's what I thought when she just turned and flew away. And
You're
I was
like, you could have.
It's like you could have just ended it. I mean, there's so many points in this story, and that'd probably be a criticism I have. I feel like there are so many points in the story that everything could have been resolved if people just had a conversation. But yeah, the whole thing could have been resolved if they had a simple conversation. Back to when Rhaenyra banged the knight and didn't tell Alicent, and then you have Alicent finding out about Aegon or Viserys, Aegon's dream, and she reads that in as, oh, that means my son needs to be king, instead of, hey, Rhaenyra, your father died on his death, talked about blah 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 blah. Oh no, what that really meant was this dream of whatever, something to where then you had the instance with the dragon popping up out of Rhaenys popping up out of the floor, killing tons of people, but she didn't want to do any damage because it's not her war to fight. I was like, you killed like
10,000 people.
Yeah. I was like, a shit ton of people are dead.
Yeah.
I was like, that's okay, but to where if she literally could have just ended the whole situation right there and been done with it.
Yep.
But, and that's the thing is, like, part of me, I don't think she wanted to, because, I mean, in her eyes, she lost her son or her family, and
Right.
who was responsible is Rhaenyra and Daemon.
Right.
So I can see her, I mean,
Maybe that's her motivation.
something, because she, when everyone was kneeling to her, she didn't kneel.
She didn't. Yep.
And then when Lord Corlys came back, he stated that we are with you and everything else, and they still didn't kneel.
Right.
So I don't know where her loyalties lie, because technically it's both sides are her family of whatever's left. And so it's her cousin's kids or her second cousin's kids,
Right.
kind of a thing. So, and her family's destroyed, so I don't know I don't know where her loyalties lie. I don't know what her motivation
That's a good point. Yeah, why would she want to end it? And everything's all hunky-dory and happy for Rhaenyra and Daemon.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe she does want like a war between the two, because why do they get what they want? I didn't get to be queen, and my family's gone. They're dead.
To where I think
that makes sense.
I could see that being a thing to where maybe in season 2 or later on in the story, Rhaenyra is trying to, Rhaenys has some kind of power over Rhaenyra or over a certain situation, or maybe Lord Corlys eventually dies, and now that the heir to Driftmark is dead because it snapped out of the sky like a snack, maybe it would go to her, to where if she's head of Driftmark, she's the head of the fleet, and then she decides, you know what, no, I'm not going to do the blockade because now I have a better deal here. And then I could see Rhaenyra pulling out the card of your son's still alive.
Gotcha.
Kind of a thing.
Okay.
So,
all right.
Because
does she know he's still alive though?
Rhaenyra?
Yeah.
I don't know.
They never really
Does
resolved
anyone
that.
really know if he's still alive?
He's still alive.
Well,
but
I know he's still alive, but
I don't know. I know what you're saying.
Any other character know?
I have no idea. That's a good point. But he's going to pop back up in the next season. I would think so, or in the future seasons, in some aspect.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, the one thing I think that I like the time jumps to a certain extent. And I think this is where the time jumps kind of do a disservice to the show itself, is because for that episode where Aemon is pursuing Lucerys, right? When they go to the Baratheons and plea for the allegiance to either side, and then Aemon gets all butthurt and says, "I want my eye," and they go chase each other, and eventually he ends up dying. Like there was no real. I mean, yeah, it was kind of shocking in that shit's about to go down now, and Rhaenyra is going to get pretty pissed off, and that's what kickstarts season 2, to where she doesn't need convincing anymore. She's just going to go to war. I didn't really care all that much that he died, because I'd only known him for like 3 episodes at that point.
Sure.
And Game of Thrones didn't have that problem because, like, for example, Ned Stark in the first season, you had 9 episodes with him. You got to know the character a little bit more, and he was essentially the main character. Same thing with Vaemon. When he died, it was shocking, but yeah, just a throwaway character you saw once or twice. So yeah,
there's no concern for the deaths that have happened.
Right, you have no emotional investment in those characters because you don't know that, you haven't known them for all that long. That's what I think the time jumps ruin a little bit, in a sense, is that your commitment to the characters and that emotional attachment that you have to them. I do like it because you kind of have to get to this point in the story where, okay, this is how the war is gonna go off. I don't want them to do it. I don't like the idea of going all the way to the events of Game of Thrones, because I think that would just carry on, where they're introducing more characters and you get to know them for a couple episodes and then they're gone.
Yep.
Or they get older.
So it'd feel like a Cliff Notes story as opposed to an actual in-depth drama.
Right. I'm not saying it would be a bad show. I know for a fact if they do that, if they keep time jumping like this, I'm just not going to, there's not going to be an attachment to characters, and then the payoff of like a shocking scene or a shocking circumstance, it won't hit as hard as it did in Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah. Still, this show is much better than most things that are on TV right now.
Yeah.
So, by no means is that critique. I recommend this show regardless. I think it's still very good.
Yeah. And episode 9, there was a meeting with what's his name? Strong.
Oh,
the last Strong
Foot guy.
Which in a previous episode, Lars Strong, I made the comment that he's like a simp. He's like one of those neckbeards that like give money to Twitch streamers. I fucking nailed it. He's
sure
even
did.
into the feet. And but yeah, it's like, oh wow. And
I was wondering what was going on in that scene.
I know, like she took her shoes off, and then as soon as he's like, and like kind of like motioned down with her like feet still in her socks or stockings or whatever, and then she takes them off. I'm like, oh god.
Oh boy.
And
that's what does it for him, huh?
Yep, that's what does it. And then the fact that she just sits there and lets him beat off. I was like, way to bring a sense of what did she say earlier in the season? And before it cut away to her son,
Aegon,
just pulling, beating his pud in the window. A sense of decency back to the throne.
Exactly.
Which I'm like, you're doing.
Yeah.
You're knowingly doing that as far. I mean,
Pot, have you met Kettle?
Yeah. It's the perfect situation to where she's still been out of shape that, she.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, letting someone beat off to your feet and then having kids with someone that's not your husband, 2 totally different things.
Sure.
But at the same time, you're still kind of whoring yourself out for your own benefit, whether that be for information or just for the fact that you would like to be with someone else other than your husband, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So, but yeah. So, a lot of hypocrisy.
Absolutely. She's definitely hypocritical throughout the whole show. And a lot of her decisions don't make all that much sense so she wants Aegon to be the king now because she thinks that Viserys was referencing him when he was dying. So she wants to keep his wishes in death or whatever the case may be. She wants to honor that. And then they try to find Aegon, and he's raped a handmaiden. He's doesn't want to be king. He's one of the worst people in King's Landing. He's one of the worst. And they're doing everything he can, or she's doing everything she can to convince him that he needs to be the king, when you know damn well he's not fit to be king. So, I mean, what is it? Do you have the best intentions, or is it all just selfish pride?
Well, Rhaenys, I mean, put it perfectly when she talked with Alicent and said, "What you're still serving men. You're not serving yourself. What you're doing is you're building a window in your own prison cell, and you're using your father, your husband, and your son to do that. To where you're trying to make yourself the best prison possible." And you're not
still
doing
a
this for
prisoner.
yourself. Why
Yeah.
are you doing this?
Yeah.
And like, what's the point other than the fact it only stems, which would be another criticism. I mean, all it is for maybe the fear of her kids
Dying.
dying. And that's the only reason why she was doing this. And then when she found out that there was also a ploy going on behind her back, which how she didn't realize that was happening. I'm like, really? You didn't know?
Yeah. Well, your father all but admitted it like years prior.
Yeah. And
Of course he's going to plant stuff behind your back.
Yep. And to where the first thing they said is, all right, well, we got to kill Rhaenyra. We got to kill the whole that side because so that way it's not an issue. And she's like, wait, what? No. And I was like, but that's what you were planning against with her doing the same. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't that annoying? That annoys the shit out of me.
Yeah, it does.
She's my least likable character in the whole show.
Yeah. And because, I mean, there was a couple episodes when she seems to be having more agency. And then in the final, or episode 9, it was just like, she's like, oh, I mean, she's going back to playing ignorant again.
Yeah. Which,
unless that's her, maybe that's her end game. Maybe it's not or whatever. But yeah. How do you think Aegon will do as king?
Oh, not good. I mean, he's not going to be like Joffrey or anything like that, but he's not going to, I don't know if when he's he's in front of the crowd and he's, pumping his fist and maybe he gets some like juice that, okay, I can do this kind of thing. But I mean, I don't know. His previous exploits don't really give me any confidence that he's going to be wise or anything or know what he's doing. I think Aemon's going to be in his ear a lot and pretty much like being the puppet master behind all of his actions. And I'm sure Alicent or Otto will be there doing their thing. Yeah. I don't think he's going to have any agency in his decisions. He's not going to rebel against any of those people, I don't think.
Yeah, I think I think with him pumping his fist, either he is going to be a less horrible version of Joffrey to where, well, now I can do what I want kind of a thing. And he just kind of does his own thing to where then people keep pestering him like, hey, we better do this. He's like, all right, yeah, fine. Just so he could be left alone to keep doing his own thing. Or because he was pumping his fist to where he feels like he wants to do a good job. Because there's that phenomena when you wear a mask or when you put on a uniform, then you change. So if like you're wearing a suit, you can tell people stand differently.
Yeah.
Than when they're just wearing casual street clothes. I don't know the name of that phenomenon, but since he is crowned king to where I wonder if he'll feel like, oh, well, I'm gonna try and do the best job that I can. But yeah, back to you said, still being a puppet, still just doing what everyone else says to where he doesn't have his own agency as far as what he wants to do. It'll be everyone else meddling with him.
Do you think Rhaenys coming up with the dragon scared him at all because he thought he was gonna die? Or do you think that pumps him up to where he's like, okay, I need to go to war with these people. They try to kill me. And that's going to be his driving motive to do that, not necessarily having to be controlled by Alicent or Otto. Or do you think, because that whole episode, he was like, hiding under a table. He was a coward.
Yeah.
Didn't want to live up to any sense of responsibility for anything. He gains that confidence, and then all of a sudden a dragon comes and almost kills him, and he's kind of pissing himself.
Yeah, I don't think it'll make him like, I gotta get her, because I mean, he's a kind of a piece of shit.
He is a piece of shit,
but I don't think he's dumb.
Yeah,
like he knows what he's about, and I don't think that'll give him any kind of false confidence to where, or any kind of extra anger to where I'm offended, because I don't think he has pride at all. I think it's more of, if anything, that would show him, oh shit, I'm over my head.
Okay. All right.
Kind of a thing, to where,
fair.
because it was, oh yeah, people are chanting my name and a single dragon can make me
Ruin
piss
it,
my,
yeah.
yeah, like this could have ended very quickly for me.
Yeah.
Like there's no security for what I'm doing right now. So I could see that making him paranoid.
Okay. Yeah. But we don't know because they're not in episode 10
Yeah.
at all.
Do you like them concentrating on one family per episode, or having the solitary episodes?
I think so. Because it does give you a little time to get to know the characters a little bit more. But again, I got to be honest, I'm not really rooting for anybody or against anybody right now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't like Allison. She's probably my least favorite character, but not to the point where I hate her like Joffrey or like oh God, what was his name? The even worse than Joffrey. What was his name?
Oh, the dog.
The dog guy. Ramsay Bolton.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Obviously, no one who I hate as much as those two, and no one who I like as much as Tyrion or Jaime or Ned. They're kind of just
Yeah.
kind of just characters in a story that you're just observing. You're not really. I'm not really on one side or the other.
Yeah. Don't feel as invested as.
Yeah. It's still good, but yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
But I think you do have. I don't think you could do it any other way. I think if you jump cut family to family and you spent 15, 10 minutes, it would just feel like, I don't know, discombobulated isn't the word. It just wouldn't flow right, because it would. You might have a 10 or 15 minute scene in one family, and then it cuts to the next family. And you're like, wait a second, you can't. So you feel like you're on a cliffhanger like every episode for like one particular aspect of the story, which would just be frustrating. And so then you're concluding it on like the final episode, keeping track of all those like conversations. If you were to cut back and forth, would just be kind of annoying.
Yeah, and I think it would turn into the issue with the Rings of Power, to where you're cutting so much between different things and different things happening, to where you just don't care about any of it.
Right.
Because you're not even invested the minimal amount to be able to want to follow the story.
Yeah.
But because it kind of, if they are purposely making you want to root for Team Black, then yeah, we're going to have to force you to sit through Team Green's things as part of the story if you want to get back to Team Black, kind of a thing. But
yeah. But Game of Thrones did that too, where they would focus on just like one or two characters the whole episode, and you wouldn't see a character for maybe a couple episodes.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't have a problem with it. I think it's just how the show is formed, and that's just how they do it. Kind of like the way he wrote the books, where one chapter is the perspective of just one character.
Sure.
For like 30 pages.
So.
Well, what about you? Who are you rooting for? Do you care?
So for me, it just whoever's the least annoying. And right now, that would be Team Black.
All right.
Even though technically, I was talking about this with Christy last night, to where I can see where Team Green is coming from, because from their standpoint, if Rhaenyra is crowned, and you're like, well, a woman's never sat on the Iron Throne before, and it's an issue, and it would just tear the kingdom apart, and we need to keep that from happening. Plus, Aegon is Viserys's first living male heir, and he's there. There's one that exists, so there's a solution to that. I can see that point. However, I think they're going about it in the wrong way, because they don't seem to be doing it in the best interest of the kingdom. They seem to be doing it in the best interest of their family.
Right.
And because it wasn't just... Because when Viserys' wife died, and Otto Hightower was sending his daughter in there, he knew what he was doing, to where he was trying to get his family to have an upper hand, which fine. So I can see that standpoint of it. Just as a society, like in a Westeros society, they have some very good points as far as why doing what they're doing would be better. But because it's for the wrong reasons, it just doesn't strike that much of a chord with me.
Okay.
However, with Team Black, woman never sat on the Iron Throne doesn't matter. The king said it. So if the king says, oh, this is now a thing, my daughter will be queen and will be the heir to the throne, then if they're that deep in a monarchy, then that should be good enough. Now, humans are humans, and they'll always do what they want to do. And then, because I feel like the whole thing is, oh, her kids are bastards. I'm like, okay. I mean, obviously that's a very serious offense, but again, if you were a king, that could easily just be, it's not a big deal anymore.
Right. True.
Like, because and maybe I'm having difficulty seeing the issue with it, just because with Game of Thrones, they were doing that shit all over the place, and it didn't seem to make a difference. Granted, it was 200 years later, so
they're more progressive in those times.
Yeah, they're a lot more progressive. You can bang your sister.
That's right. No big deal.
And because Joffrey was on the throne, but no one really gave a shit about Joffrey having blonde hair and looking exactly like Jaime, and everyone knowing that it was Jaime's, but no one saying anything. And,
Yep.
But yeah, I don't know. Right now, it's the least annoying side, and right now, it's Rhaenyra's.
Rhaenyra's is the least annoying side.
Yeah, because I mean, she especially is coming from, I guess, a more wiser place. It's like she has a higher reason for why she's doing things than what Alicent does. Alicent, I don't think other than wanting her to protect her kids, especially her oldest son, who she says multiple times she doesn't care about. I'm like, okay, so you're losing me here. I was like, but I mean, obviously she still does, but the fact that she almost disowns him when she finds him like still drunk in bed after raping the chick, and then he can't be found. And on the way there, he's like, do you love me? And she doesn't even answer. She just, which could have been like, yes, of course I do.
Yeah.
Or, no, I'm not doing this for you. Kind of a thing. So but I don't know. So yeah, but yeah, right now, less annoying side, which is Rhaenyra.
What did you think of, so who was besides Viserys and Patty Considine, who did you think did the best job?
Acting?
Yeah.
I mean, Matt Smith,
yeah,
I think is doing a really great job. I don't see Matt Smith when I watch him in that role.
Yeah.
Rhys Ifans.
Yeah. Otto Hightower.
Yeah, Otto Hightower.
Rhys Ifans.
Whatever. God,
I don't know. I don't even know if that's right. I'm just giving you shit.
Every time I see him on screen, I think, oh, that's Rhys Ifans.
Oh, gotcha.
And I start going over the different roles that I've seen him play, and I'm like, yeah, he was the kicker on The Replacements.
That's right. Yeah. And he's wiry.
Yeah, he's wiry. And I was like, oh, and he played Captain Hook in a Peter Pan movie, and and so like I see him, and there's a couple of scenes I think he does good, but I don't know if it's just too big of a name to where, and he's not wearing as much makeup.
Yeah.
But I do think the Olivia Cook, who plays Alicent, and Emma Darcy as Rhaenyra, those I think they both do a good job.
Yeah, I actually like them as actors more than the younger versions of them. People were open arms. They liked the younger. I'm like, I disagree. I think they're better actors.
I do
far and away.
I do think when they first switched them, it was a little jarring for Rhaenyra's character because I felt like they looked too different because the two actresses they got to play Alicent, I mean, they looked very similar to where I felt like it took me out of it less seeing them jump between those two actresses. But by episode 8 and definitely episode 10, when I saw Rhaenyra, I started seeing some of the facial expressions from the younger. I mean, I wasn't taken out of the story as much.
Gotcha.
And I really think that she's fit in that role very well.
I agree. I think she does pretty good.
Yep. I like Rhaenys. I just like her character.
I do too. Yeah.
And she's pretty good. But yeah.
I like Lord Corlys too. Stephen Toussaint. I think he does a really good job. Again, writers of the show not fans of childbirth. Another stillbirth scene.
Yeah.
It's like Jesus. It's like, it's been 3 episodes. We haven't had a horrific childbirth scene. Let's throw another one in there.
Which, how'd you feel about that scene?
I mean,
like, what do you think was happening?
I don't know what they're trying to say. It's like, okay, I think this is the 4th childbirth scene. It's like horrific. It's the 4th one. I get it. So what are you trying to say? What are you trying to say with that? What's the purpose of it?
At first, I thought the normal thing, the stress of her father is going to cause her to miscarry. But as they kept going back to her and trying to get them to offer her help and everything else, I got the impression she was almost trying to force out the child because she knew I can't be dealing with this for another 2 months. I need to get this out now, and I can't be a mother right now. So I almost got, I mean, not that that's necessarily possible, but I think when she first noticed the blood, I think she was just kind of making the decision to where, okay, I'm just gonna
abort it. Self-abortion,
more or less, yeah. And get rid of it and get back to doing what I need to do because there's more important things at stake now.
Wow.
So
heartless, cold-blooded. That's a good point. I didn't think of it that way.
Because I mean, she was well aware that, I mean, even during that time, she had the sense to tell her oldest son Jace to tell Daemon and everybody else, no one does anything without my say so. And I think she knew. I mean, just the situation. I think she was just well aware of the situation that she was in, and once she realized, okay, well, the baby's probably not going to be surviving. I mean, if there'd be a chance of, because it took a while for her water to break or whatever, to where she probably could have been on bed rest or whatever. But I think it was just kind of like, okay, I need to take care of the situation and then
it's a good point.
Deal with the larger situation.
I think that's a good point.
But that's kind of how I looked at it.
Okay. It's an interesting way to look at it. I thought it was just another reason to put another painful, gross scene in there, just to do it. Yeah, I liked throwing a Baratheon in there. I mean,
did a good job casting that role too.
Right. What did you think was going to happen though? By the way, I go let the lords need to know what going against your word means. So,
yeah.
And then you send your 12-year-old son to deliver the message. Oh, come on. I mean, especially to a Baratheon. I'm glad that when he got there that he was a dickhead, a pig-headed dickhead. Perfect. I love it.
Yeah. I like how he can't read.
Yeah.
He's like, "Where's the fucking maester?"
Yeah.
Because he's just like,
I can't read this. Yeah. It's pretty good too when they can't get control of their dragons when Aemon and Lucerys are flying against each other and they lose control of their dragons, then they just do their own thing.
Yep.
It's foreshadowing what's going to happen if they just unleash dragons
Well,
and they
sure.
go to war with each other.
It also touches back to what Viserys said when he was talking with Rhaenyra, when he mentioned, he's like, us being able to control dragons is an illusion.
Right. Yeah.
And it's like, we can't control them.
Right.
Like, people think we can. And then that comment finally paid off to that.
You're right.
Where even though they do have bonds, that they're not always able to contain them.
Yeah. And it was even in Game of Thrones, Daenerys, when she flies, she's in the Colosseum, and they're surrounding her. Mm-hmm. And then the dragon comes and picks her up, and she flies off with him, and then they kind of just land, and she wants to leave, but he's, the dragon's just wants to take a nap and wants to do its own thing, doesn't want to listen to her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like that scene. You knew bad shit was going to happen just with the weather.
Oh, yeah.
And he goes in there, lands, and then you just see the silhouette of the large-ass dragon already there, and you're like, oh.
Oh, man. That scene was lit very good. We talk all this shit about, like, the dark scenes and how they're tough to go through because they're so badly lit and you can't see anything. I thought that scene was done pretty well.
Yep. And, let's see. That was directed by Greg Yataines, I think. So, House of the Dragon. Hold on. Where is his director? There we go. So he directed The Black Queen, so episode 10. Second of his name. And so that's episode 3. And then he also directed episode 2. So, I guess what I'm getting at is he did not direct the dark ass
the beach scene.
The beach scene. Hold on one second. Let me. Well, we're gonna look this up because I wonder if it's the same director, and I should have just looked this up beforehand.
Yeah.
So what
I
was
think
the beach
it's
scene?
Miguel.
King of the Narrow Sea.
I think it's the Princess and the Queen because it's the time jump to where it's Emma Darcy and she's talking to Damon on the beach. I think it's episode 6.
Episode 6.
The Princess and the Queen.
Okay, Miguel
Sapochnik.
Sapochnik. And now let's just see what else he directed. Oh, did some Game of Thrones episodes. Oh, look. The Long Night.
Oh, did he? No shit.
That fucker. That guy needs to be fired immediately.
Sherlock Holmes over here.
Jesus.
Detective. Yeah.
Fucking knew it.
Why is that?
Because he doesn't know how to do...
Doesn't know how to do...
Which I saw a behind-the-scenes image of that episode.
Yeah.
Bright as fucking day.
Oh, was it?
Oh, God, yeah. I mean, it was just... I was like, yeah. A shitty day for night. Like, what the...
You caught me. You caught the tater. Yeah. Greg Yataines. Good job, man. I should have you direct more episodes.
Yeah.
Miguel, get out of here.
Yeah. Anyone who's ever directed a night scene before.
Yeah.
Can do it.
That's right.
But yeah.
So what? It's going to be 2 years before we get season 2.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the CEO or the head of content creation for HBO pretty much said sometime in 2024. Do not expect it in 2023. So
it makes sense.
A little bit of a wait.
They were probably wondering how successful this season would be before they did it.
Yeah, and because I'm sure with the blowback from season 8 that we're like, okay, we'll give you one season, and we'll see how it goes from there. Now that it's a success, yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's tons of CGI work and everything else, especially with the dragons, and I'm hoping I'm hoping the visuals get better.
Okay.
In the second, which they did between season 1 of Game of Thrones and season 2 Game of Thrones was like night and day as far as budget.
Absolutely.
And I'm hoping they'll throw a little bit more money into this or have a little bit more confidence to where, okay, we'll complete the series. If you look at Game of Thrones and then House of the Dragon, especially when they're at Dragonstone. Is that what it's called? Dragonstone? They're the Targaryen.
Where Daemon and Rhaenyra live?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Dragonstone.
So there's always like this fog.
Yeah.
Or haze.
It's like a haze, yeah.
Behind the characters. And I think I know why. It's because they're standing in front of a green screen.
Yeah.
And to where Game of Thrones was always so clear.
Mm-hmm.
And they shot on location and stuff like that. But there's a lot of haze in House of the Dragon.
There is.
I hope they get rid of that.
Yeah.
And I know why. It's because of green screen. Because when you do compositing and you have harsh boundaries and everything else, you got to add blurs. You got to add some kind of hate. You got to put shit in front of it to where the harsh boundary changes of what you're compositing along with the background and CGI elements and everything else. It kind of softens that up and makes it less noticeable.
Right.
So I hope that changes. I think.
Or just make everything dark, Jay. Just got to shoot everything at night.
Just black screen. It could just be a podcast or like an audio book or something. But yeah, I think that's my hope. Like the thing I want them to change the most is the visuals, because I think the show lends itself to being able to do some very nice shots. And like episode 9 at the very beginning, you had it was early in the morning, and which was also hold on, let me just before I stick my foot in my mouth. Episode it was a woman that directed it, so I know it wasn't
Miguel Sapochnik.
Yeah, that fucker. The Green Council episode, directed by Claire Kilner. Of the Red Keep early in the morning, and it just had some very subtle, like very picturesque shots of the throne. Some very well lit like cave scenes or dungeon scenes, stuff like that. It can look very, very good, and I want more of that. But I just want the less haze and just better imagery overall.
Yeah, I think the the haze imagery that you're talking about on those wide shots on the outside of like a keep, or when a dragon comes in, because the inside shots that don't have any green screen at all, and the production design is so well done that like it just stands out.
Yeah.
To where you notice the differences between the CGI shots and the non CGI shots.
Which maybe they can get their hands on, I forget what they call it, that front projection.
Oh yeah.
Thing that Disney has, because I think there's several studios that are starting to build those.
Yeah, like the Batman. Where they're on the skyscraper meeting all the time, and you get the it's like
the panning.
It's front projection. It's not the green screen or anything. Yeah,
I'd have to watch that again.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, they could have more control over their
absolutely,
elements and hopefully less haze. But yeah, the haze is just
throwing you off.
Yeah, it just looks cheaper.
It does.
But hopefully they get a bigger budget.
Right. Well, most people are watching on their phones, Jay, so that's why they don't care.
Communists. Ruining it for everybody.
I read a stat that I think it's like 55% of people watch it on their phones. Yeah.
Scorsese's spinning in his grave right now.
I know. Have you seen that clip from David Lynch?
Well,
yeah, I'm going to see if I can find it. But basically, David Lynch is talking about, you got to go to the movie theater and experience the magic of cinema, and people are watching it on their fucking phones or whatever he says. Yeah, here it is. It's 30 seconds. It's pretty good.
Now, if you're playing the movie on a telephone, you will never in a trillion years experience the film. You'll think you have experienced it, but you'll be cheated. It's such a sadness. that you think you've seen a film on your fucking telephone. Get real.
I love the more you know music in the background.
I know. Yeah. It's great. Yeah. That clip's like 14 years old. That like when YouTube first came out, that was one of the first videos I ever watched on YouTube. Yeah.
I mean, he's got a point.
Yeah.
I experience the same thing when I watch, whenever they release an older movie in theaters. Even though I've seen it a million times in my living room.
I know.
Hits differently when it's larger
Absolutely.
like that.
I remember when I watched Jurassic Park in 2013.
Mm-hmm.
It came out in 3D.
Yep.
And I watched it in 3D. It was awesome. I've seen that movie I don't know how many times.
Yeah.
Much better in the big screen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, what do you think happens in season 2?
I feel like I'm just like kind of like showing pictures of my asshole when I give predictions for something that's already been written, because
I don't know if I think they've gone through most of the book. From what I've heard, yeah.
But are they going to drag out the last 3 seasons? Or
I don't know. Well, they have a show in pre-production now that's like 3,000 years, like the age of the first men.
Mm-hmm.
To where the Children of the Forest or whatever from Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
And the first men and how the White Walkers came about. Like they're going to do a series on that, and then they're doing a continuation with Jon Snow.
Yeah.
So I mean, obviously it's all new material. So they're not afraid to do something without the book or without a previous.
I guess my theory is, and I'm just kind of, I would say my theory for next season, I think Rhaenyra will be more aggressive, maybe to the point to where you start to dislike her. Not so much to where she'll do a Khaleesi thing, but I feel like the pendulum will probably start swinging to House Green or Team Green, as far as likability.
Okay.
Because Game of Thrones did that very well. They'd make you change allegiances with characters. Granted, it would sometimes be over the course of a season.
Mm-hmm. Jaime's a good example. You weren't really rooting for him at first.
Yeah, but then you slowly, you just slowly like him throughout the whole season. But I'm thinking more of, oh Jesus, what's her name? Jaime's sister, Cersei.
Cersei.
When you didn't like Cersei, but then when she was facing off the head scepter.
Oh yeah.
The weird cult thing that came back.
Jonathan Pryce.
Yeah, Jonathan Pryce. Mm-hmm. To where you liked her more.
It's true.
Than him, and so they did that very well. To where maybe season 2, they're probably gonna start pulling the audience back over to Team Green a little bit. I think Rhaenyra will also have a hard time controlling Daemon, to where maybe she can't wield the power that she's meant to, or I think she'll have some difficulty with that. I think Alicent, things will get out of her hands as well, to where she'll feel like she can't wrap her arms around the situation, because of her father meddling, because she made the comment of guiding the men in your life to doing what you want. I think she's going to find out she's not going to be able to do that. So I think she'll have difficulty there, and she'll probably start feeling some kind of regret, because I think now that one of Rhaenyra's sons had died, I think things are going to start snowballing out of control real quick.
Mm-hmm.
And Lars Strong will continue to beat off to feet.
Yeah.
He'll beat all the feet. And
all the feet.
There'll be like a barefoot battle on the beach, and he'll just be...
They're wanking it?
Yeah, he'll just whack himself inside out.
Yeah.
And he'll be too much for him to handle.
Ink it.
Yep. But yeah, what do you think?
I don't think there's going to... Obviously, they're building up to this giant war. I don't think it's going to happen, because that would just end too quickly. So they can't just go storm King's Landing with a bunch of dragons and then I mean, they got to kind of drag that out. So I don't know yet what the stepping stone is between that culmination and building up to that. I think it's gonna be more plotting to get alliances. Like, I'm sure we'll be introduced to Starks, because I think they're gonna start introducing more characters with other families outside of the Hightowers and the Targaryens. They did that in Game of Thrones, where you'd be introduced to like the people in Dorne, or more families in Pentos, or like Ned. What's Ned Stark's wife? What was her name? Damn it. Rob's mom.
Yeah.
John's mom.
Lady Stoneheart.
Lady Stoneheart.
What was that her name in the book?
No, it was Aaron no, not Aaron. Anyway, what I'm saying is you were introduced to more families. I think they're going to do that. Try to build an alliance. The season's probably going to be a season of building alliances on either the Hightower side or the Targaryen side. And then the season's going to end with some sort of cliffhanger. I don't know what that might be.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's not going to end they're not going to time jump to the point where they're
fighting.
Yeah, they're going to slowly build to it.
Yeah, it's a better prediction than mine.
Well, I'm not good at predictions either.
That's all right. We'll find out in 2 years.
That's right.
So if we're still doing this podcast, then maybe we can do.
We'll just rewind back.
Yeah.
To our original thoughts.
Yep. But yeah.
But it was great. I mean, good TV.
Mm-hmm.
I recommend it. It's probably I would say it's the best show on HBO Max or newer show on HBO Max now. There hasn't really been much to come out of HBO Max that I really enjoy.
Well, I mean, it's so hard to compare because it's a different kind of show.
Mm-hmm. Like, I never really got into Succession. I heard that's like a really good show.
I haven't watched that at all. I think the only HBO show that I watched this year was Winning Time.
Oh yeah,
I really like that one. But it's such a different show than Game of Thrones or House of the Dragon.
I saw Mayor of Easttown. That was good. It's a miniseries.
Yeah,
not really a show. That was good.
So
they do miniseries really well.
Yeah, they do. John Adams and Band of Brothers.
Ooh, Band of Brothers. So good. I actually almost started watching Boardwalk Empire again.
Yeah.
But Nicole didn't want to watch it again, so we settled on Peaky Blinders. She hadn't seen it yet, so that's what we're watching now. You ever seen Boardwalk Empire?
I watched the first season and a half, like back when it first started airing, because I think it aired around the same time as Sopranos wrapped up.
Around there, yeah.
And I liked Steve Buscemi, and so that's why I started watching it. I watched the first full season, and then one of the main characters, I guess, had died, which my mother had accidentally spoiled.
Oh, yeah?
And I was like, oh. And I was like a couple episodes into season 2, and I was like, oh. And I just never got around to finishing it.
Spoiled it for you.
Yeah, I mean, just for that, I was like, oh, all right. Because I thought I was going to see, like, his ascension.
Right.
Into the underworld or whatever. And, but yeah, so, no, I never got around to finishing that. Is it worth watching?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
I like it a lot. Bobby Cannavale's in it.
Yeah,
in season 3 and 4.
Like
his character is crazy.
He's another one of those guys I kind of get excited every time I see him in a movie.
Yeah, in your pants a little bit?
Yeah, just a little bit. Just a little bit.
Just slightly.
Pants get a little bit tighter.
Yeah.
And, I mean, everything he's been in, he's really solid job. He's just so underrated.
Yeah.
I'm surprised he's not in more things, probably because he doesn't have the look of a leading man.
Yeah.
Which sounds mean, but it's just, I mean, he's got a character actor face.
Yeah.
But everything he's in, he's always solid in.
Me and Nicole just finished watching The Visitor on Netflix, and it's got him and Naomi Watts in it.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay.
Yeah.
It's one of those stupid shows where it's like, you're going to figure out, it's a mystery. You're going to find out who's doing what, and no. You don't find out who's doing what or anything. It just ends.
That just sounds amazing.
It's super annoying. Ryan, what's his name from American Horror Story?
Oh, Ryan Murphy.
Ryan Murphy. He's the culprit. I don't know what it is about Ryan Murphy. There's always like a weird aspect. Like, the scene from The Shining where a guy in a bear suit is giving another guy a blowy, and they just look up. They look up at Shelley Duvall's character. Where she's running from Jack, and she goes to the top floor.
Yeah.
She looks over. There's a guy in a bear costume giving a guy a blowy. They look up at her, and you're like, "What was that for?"
Yeah.
I don't know. That's what Ryan Murphy did. That's his shows. They're just like scenes of that strung together.
Yeah, or just complete, utter. I don't know. I love the first season. Love the first season of American Horror Story.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't watch the second one because everyone was like, no, it's not as good as the first one. I was like, all right. So then we watched the third one because the third one started airing by the time we had finished season one. And then we're like, oh, okay. It was okay. And then the fourth season, what was the fourth season? Freak Show?
I think so.
Whatever the Freak Show thing was.
Is that the one with the clown?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then like the guy who's finger banging chicks and he's got like a flipper
Lobster.
for a hand or something. Yeah. Like his lobster hand. Now, I was like, no, I'm fucking done. I was like, this isn't scary. I was like, this is just weird for the sake of being weird.
Yeah.
And I did not like that shit. Then he came out with, was it Hollywood on Netflix?
I never saw that. I heard of it.
I was so looking forward to that.
Mm-hmm.
And because I was like, sweet period piece about like the golden age of Hollywood and stuff, but it actually shows like kind of what was happening. And nope, that's complete fantasy.
Oh, yeah?
Like literally it's a fucking fantasy to where, oh my God, like the spoilers of this very shitty show.
All you Hollywood fans out there.
It takes place like the 1940s, 1950s.
Yeah.
And they make a movie, and it's kind of like this underdog story. It's where you have this guy who kind of, to make his keep until he gets discovered as an actor, he's a gigolo, and which is fine. And then he kind of gets discovered, and he's like trying to make his way, and they're like, "Oh, we can make this movie," but it's the 40s. Racism is a thing, and homophobia is a thing. And women being a writer is not a thing. And so like all these barriers, and then everyone kind of comes together in this weird, okay, I'm going to completely change my character for this greater purpose. They make a movie. It wins all the awards and cures the country of racism, homophobia, gives women equal rights. It's fucking ridiculous.
Are you serious?
Yes.
That's
like
the show?
They put out this the movie, and everyone's, of course, it's the best movie fucking ever made, and it's like, really?
That's all it takes?
It's yeah, movies could save society pretty much.
They
I'm
save
like,
lives.
all right, guys, let's pump the fucking brakes. Like, I love movies as much as the next person, but it's fucking entertainment. We're not curing cancer here. Yeah, sure, you can kind of have, like, you could probably hit somebody on an emotional level as an individual.
Yeah.
That could maybe change their life for a little bit. And they'll probably go back to doing whatever the fuck they want to do.
Right.
Or maybe there has been movies that have changed individuals, but not like society as a whole to where
It hasn't cured societal ills?
yeah, we're like in the middle of like McCarthyism to where they're like the Black Book existed and they were just fucking like blacklisting people left and right.
Yeah.
Is the biggest piece of dog shit I've looked spectacular. Like it was shot really well.
Right.
Love the color palette that they chose, the color grading of the show. The costumes were great. I mean, everything was fantastic of it, except the story was just complete and utter dog shit. And I was like, what the fuck is this?
Right.
And I was like, oh, well, that'll be the last thing I watch from Ryan Murphy, and it has been. So
yeah, because you didn't watch Dahmer, and you haven't seen
no,
The Visitor.
no,
Or sorry, The Watcher.
yeah. And Dahmer, I'm not going to watch because I don't want to watch a glorification of some. I mean, it's not even a real character study. He's lost any kind of credibility as far as a respectable filmmaker. he is not an exhibitionist. It's exploitationist.
Oh, okay.
And that's what I view him as, to where anything he does, I'm like, it's not historical. I'm not going to take it as historically accurate. He could do a documentary. I'm not going to believe it because I'm
Right.
going to think he has some weird shit in there to where, ooh, audiences like this kind of a thing.
Yeah.
He's making clickbait, but feature-long clickbait, I feel like is what he
Right.
makes. And
That's a good point.
yeah, I can't get into it. Now, if someone wants to make a thing about Dahmer, which I think they've done to death already.
Oh, they did it to death.
I mean, sure, then maybe I'll watch that, but I have no interest in that, nor do I have an interest in trying to. There's a difference between trying to make people feel sorry for somebody and then making something to help you understand where someone's coming from. And it's a very fine line. Again, I haven't seen Dahmer, so I'm talking out my ass, but
No, I've seen it.
I don't think he's done that.
Yeah, no. That show, I didn't like it because they make you sympathize with Dahmer, and I just don't care.
Yeah.
I'm not going to sympathize with a cannibal serial killer. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Of
I don't
course.
care. I don't care how traumatic your childhood was, or if
Yeah.
you had daddy issues. It doesn't matter. Lots of people have that. They don't end up doing that.
Yeah, that kind of subject matter is for a documentary.
Yeah.
It's not for an
Yeah.
entertaining limited series. It just isn't. I mean,
Right.
it's especially when it happened only 30 years ago
Yeah.
or something, and you have people that lived through that shit are
Yeah.
still alive.
And you have no idea what the conversations were like in the apartment when he's killing people.
Correct.
Or
all
with the neighbor.
that
All
is
that is
just
sensationalism. Like you
Yeah.
said, it's exploitative. You have
Yeah.
no idea what they said.
Yep.
Yeah, you're adding all that shit for dramatic effect.
Yeah, and it's not like this was 100 years ago.
No.
To where anyone who is seriously affected by it is long gone. It's just.
Yeah.
It's making money off tragedy, and it's the weakest form of one of the weakest forms I feel like of entertainment is taking a tragedy and then I could make an entertaining thing out of this.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, I bet you could.
Yeah. Hey, well, they gave an in memoriam to all the victims of Jeffrey Dahmer at the
Oh.
end of the show, so you know that they cared, Jay.
Yeah. How much money they give to the victims? That
I
were,
don't know.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. Well, and back on The Watcher, one thing that he does, it's so annoying, is conversations that characters will have. One character will be so outlandish or odd in like repartee when you're talking with one another. You'll say something that's just like off-putting or out of left field, and then the other person's reaction is like all nonchalant, like, "Oh, that's no big deal that they just said that."
No.
Every normal person would be like, "What's wrong with you?"
Yeah. Like, are you all right?
Or just not talk to that or interact with that person like ever again because you were so off put by it.
Mm-hmm.
So many times in that show where I'm like, why is she still friends with this person?
Yeah.
Or why is he still talking with this person? Doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
stupid.
Because it's shitty storytelling.
It
and
is.
There is no reason for it.
Yeah.
So.
One thing I do recommend you watch, I know you're not a big horror fan, but there's a movie called Barbarian on HBO Max.
I
Jay,
saw something.
it's fucking fantastic.
Is it?
It's very good.
Because it's a low budget film, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was that movie, and the second one's escaping me. But there was another one that was low budget that I think came out this year.
I think it's called X or Pearl or something.
Yeah, something like and to where it's been getting a lot of traction, and so Barbarian.
So
I will watch Barbarian,
it was-
especially if it's low budget
yeah,
and
it's got Bill Skarsgård in it. Pennywise.
Okay.
He's good in it.
yeah.
Justin Long.
Hey,
He's awesome.
yeah.
He's very good. Yeah. But I was home on Friday watching The Boys, and my wife had to work late. And I'm like, I don't know. Let's just see what's on. And then there's Barbarian on HBO Max just added. So I'm like, I'll just throw it on. I heard good things about it. And it's one of those experiences where you no expectations. I didn't even know what the movie was about. I had no idea. And I'm like, all right, maybe it's like a good horror movie. I don't know. And blew my fucking mind.
I'll give it a
It
shot.
was just so unexpected, Jay.
Because I miss coming across those movies.
It's great.
Um,
And I don't want to spoil
just
it for you
pleasant surprise.
at all.
Yeah, don't. So I'll
At
watch
all.
it.
It's great. And watch it with Christy. She'll like it.
Okay.
She will.
So
It's great.
cool.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Listeners, watch Barbarian. I recommend that too. You'll be pleasantly surprised. I kind of regret not seeing it in theaters now. If it was released
Was
back
it
in
in
theaters,
thea- oh,
it
was
was.
it?
Yeah, all September.
Jesus.
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen a single
I know.
commercial, trailer. Or...
No. Good. I think if I saw the trailer, it might have spoiled it for me.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
But it's on HBO Max?
On HBO Max.
All right.
Free of charge.
Check out Barbarian. I will check it out, and I will give my input.
Yes. We can talk about it next time.
Yeah.
What are we going to talk about next time, Jay?
Well, we're for sure going to talk about based on a request.
That's right. From Nicole.
From Nicole, one of our listeners. You will hopefully join us next time as we discuss our top 5 most confusing movies.
Correct.
So these will be movies that were just confusing as a whole, and or was great up until a certain point, and then you're like, "What the fuck?"
Right.
Kind of a thing.
What just happened?
Yep. And or what does that mean, or what have you? So we're going to be talking about our top 5 most confusing movies that we have seen.
Yep.
Obviously not of all time because we haven't seen all the movies.
No one has.
And but yeah, we'll be talking about that.
Yes.
So that'll be good, and it's going to be tough because
It will be tough.
there's only been a couple of movies that I have rewatched after, because my take on confusing movies, if they're just overtly confusing, I tend not to rewatch it.
Rewatch them? Okay.
But that's usually to the point it pisses me off. Because
you don't
if
wanna
it's
watch
fucking
them?
arbitrary and just random for the sake of being, I mean, I'm sure there's some underlying meaning of something,
Yeah.
but if it's not clear,
It's a little too artsy fartsy.
yeah, if it's too artsy fartsy, or if it's just too out there, and the excuse is, well, it's what the audience thinks, and like, no, fuck that.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
you're a storyteller. You're supposed to tell a story, and if the audience can't get the story or understand what the fuck you're doing, then you failed, kind of a thing.
Right. I agree with
I
you.
don't rewatch that shit. So 1 or 2 of those are going to end up on my list, but I do not want to have to rewatch it, but I'm afraid I'm probably going to have to. Because I could be misremembering it from when I first saw it
Right.
20 years ago or whatever.
Right.
So, but yeah, it'll be kind of a tough list, because then there'll be movies on there that I loved right up until
Yeah.
like
right up until the end.
like last 2 minutes. I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Kind of a thing. So, but yeah. So
Yeah. Thanks, Nicole, for the suggestion.
yeah.
She's also a fan of the House of Dragon episodes. So
Yeah. Hopefully this one was good. Sorry
Yeah.
we didn't talk about the feet more.
I know you all want to talk about
Larry
the feet.
Strong. The weird fucking.
Yeah.
But yeah. But yeah, thank you for the suggestion, and that'll be our next episode
Yes, it will.
when we record next week. So, but yeah, that's our episode. Thank you for listening, everybody. Hope you enjoyed the show. Once again, our website is acastwithnoname.com. If you want to leave a comment or write to our email, all that good stuff can be found in the description of the episode. And thanks again for listening.
Until next time, Jay.
Until next time, Matt.